Between Life and Death by Jaclyn. Chapter 34. With a surge of light, the darkness gave way, birthing a blue sky dolloped with lazy, fluffy clouds, and a rocky autumn-painted ground, dusted with a light layer of fallen leaves. I was standing close to the same spot, where Arkan pushed me in. A thick, black fur must by the breeze blocked my view. I tipped my head up, peering over top of a broad shoulder, staring at the endless mist. I shivered, the chokehold of it all too fresh. But when I looked up, and met the eyes of the male standing in front of me, all of it seemed like white noise, floating away on the wind. A hand, large and warm, gingerly cupped my cheek, the rough pads gliding along my skin. I nestled into it, into his touch. "Vaughn, you came for me." My voice cracked. His onyx eyes held mine. "I will always come for you." He said it like it was an oath, written in stone. I knew in that moment, he meant every word, sure and steady, like the setting sun bowing to the clutch of night. I stared in awe at the male who made the void itself quiver and hide. His long black hair, tinged with an iridescent blue, was unbound, wild. It matched his eyes, the way they held mine. I let out a withheld breath. Everything about him pulsed with ancient power, unbridled. A warrior from another time, adorned in black, from his fighting leathers to his hair, cast in steel and shadows, darkness divine. For some time now, I had been looking away from what so plainly stared back at me, a truth I did not want to see. Not that I could explain why that was, but now there was no denying it anymore. Vaughn was not some mere cursed mortal. He was, period. Something much more than that. I was beginning to suspect that Vaughn was a demigod, a direct son of the old gods, which would make him. I couldn't even fathom how old he must be. Hundreds of years at least. The wind wrestled with the leaves on the ground, swooping them up, reminding me of the sound I heard just before I stopped falling, the sound of rustling wings. Some of the demigods were said to have wings, something they received from their divine forebears. I glanced over Vaughn's shoulder, searching for any remnant of what I had heard, but nothing was there. I wanted to reach out, to feel the air behind him, and see if what I heard, what I expected to see, was invisible to the eye, but not the hand. "How did you find me?" I asked him. His fingers drifted down the length of my arm, roaming over my tattoo, stroking it softly with the rough pad of his thumb. "This allows us to find one another. It's for tracking," I whispered to myself, realizing why he didn't tell me the other day. Yes, he would have sounded like a complete jackass then. I would have clawed his eyes out for it. But now, that fierce part of me, the lioness that hated when a man thought he had a right to possess a woman, right now, she was purring like a kitten on his lap. I never thought she could be tamed by a man, but now, I was learning she could be. It just took the right one. I looked up at him. "Can I use mine too? Find you as well?" "Yes, it works both ways," he replied. That carnal mouth twisted ever so slightly at the corners, like the thought of me looking for him pleased him. His hand stilled, just above the bruising around my wrist. Gently, he raised it to his lips. The warmth of his mouth spread over my skin like the morning light stirring the cool, slumbering earth awake. I watched in awe and silence, as the bruising began to dissipate, until it was completely gone. "How did you do that?" I asked, confusion painting my brow low. I stared at my healed wrist, completely amazed. "We are bonded." The word felt secure, sure, like some thing I could bet on. "Can you heal this one too?" I asked, lifting my arm so he could see the stitched gash, the wound itchy and raw. There was no denying the way Vaughn's mood darkened when he surveyed it. He wore that look that was tailored so perfectly to him, the signature look that stated he might just burn everything to the ground. Suddenly, the harsh lines in his beautiful face softened. Bending forward, he carefully lifted my arm, bringing the heat of his mouth to the cut, and suddenly it healed, the stitches falling out, shoved away by the wind. "Do you always have to kiss it to heal it?" I asked, a light smile playing at my lips. I watched as he rose back to his towering height, cloaking me in his shadow. "No," he replied beneath a self-indulgent smile, the tip of a long canine peering out beneath his full top lip. A memory surfaced of when my neck was bruised because of his sister, and how quickly it had disappeared. I didn't need to ask because now I knew that had been Vaughn too. I looked up at him inquisitively. "Can I heal you as well?" He shook his head slightly, his voice soft but firm. "No, you cannot." I didn't understand. "If we can both track each other through the tattoos, why can't we heal one another as well?" "Because our bond does not come from our deal," he said, his eyes searching mine. Whatever he looked for? I didn't know. Our bond, that was what the constant pull was, the consistent tethering that drew me to him. Fate, I nibbled on my bottom lip, releasing it as I asked. So then if you can heal me. But I cannot heal you. Then what can I do in return? His black lashes lifted slowly. You can offer me something no one else can. And that is? I asked, my voice breathless. He tipped my chin upwards, his eyes holding mine. The ability to feel alive. And then he kissed me. I fell into the feel of it of him. His arms holding me, tethering me to his world. Our lips moved, his tongue darting into my mouth, taking, and teasing, and taunting. I melted into him. When I was certain my clothes would combust into a plume of cinders, he removed his lips from mine. Lightly, he pressed our foreheads together, his wide chest slowly rising, his breaths calm and certain, unlike mine, quick and sporadic. Slowly, he lifted his forehead from mine, looking over to a dense thicket about a stone's throw away from us, a Riker-sized throw, definitely not Soren-sized. Come out from your hiding spot, Vaughn said, his tone an inescapable command. Something stirred from there, rustled around, before a male figure stepped out. Arkin, I scowled. My water curse begged to be set free, demanded to show him what it felt like to not be able to breathe. He dusted off his coat, plucked a stray twig from his red hair, and then strode towards us, mindful to keep some distance. Arkin's tone tasted as sour as the look on his face. Ever the dutiful watchdog, are you not, Blood King? He spat out the last two words like they were poison in his mouth. Blood King? Vaughn's arm draped leisurely around my waist, protectively coiling there. I could say the same for you, King's advisor. I sputtered. They knew each other? My mind swirled, ransacked by 1,001 questions. The cloaking spell you used to distort her features, to hide her from me. That was a clever trick. You nearly had me fooled. I wasn't aware you possessed that form of magic, Arkin said, muscular arms crossing over his chest, his feet spread shoulder-width apart, locking him to the ground. It was a laid-back but ready-for-battle stance if I'd ever seen one. Cloaking spell? Distorting my features? What in the spirit realm was Arkin talking about? I possess a great deal of things you are unaware of, Vaughn replied in his signature smooth bourbon tone. Yet, you will never possess the thing you want most. Arkin's gaze shifted to me, and then back to Vaughn. You know full well who she belongs to. Who I belong to. I sneered. This was getting out of hand. How do you know each other? I shied, clutching at the few puzzle pieces I had, the rest of them scattered and missing. We go way back, Arkin answered with a sneer before he stretched out his hand, offering it to me, the shining pin of the king's advisor reflecting in the sun. Come, our king awaits us. Instinctively, I clutched at Vaughn. You are insane if you think I would go anywhere with you. You tried to kill me. Not exactly, Arkin replied, his arms relaxing, drifting to his sides. Still, he watched Vaughn carefully. Not exactly? Do you know what it's like not to be able to breathe? I took a step forward, water droplets building in my palm. I turned my head to the side, disgusted by the male that stood before me. Why? Why did you do it? To his advantage, he looked remorseful. And my anger winced just a hair. Because I needed to know. I needed to know if you were her. Her? You tried to murder me to see if I was your dead lover? I shook my head. What I was hearing was beyond logical reason. Anger welled, a tea kettle left too long over the fire, red hot and ready to blow. I hit my boiling point. Water came rushing out of my hand. I didn't care to give it shape, leaving it in its pure, raw form. I threw it at him with everything I had, echoing the force of my mounting frustration. Arkin raised his hand, and a shield magically appeared in front of him, conjured from thin air. I gasped. His shield was made from the same thing I attacked him with. You are water-cursed? I sputtered. My burst of water lost its form. It fell to the ground, shattering upon impact, drenching the dead prairie grass. Arkin dropped his shield, the water evaporating at the mere twist of his hand. I can manipulate water, yes, among other things. His brow furrowed, his words spoken slowly. So then, the endless mist did not return your memory. Return my memory? My mind spun amongst the chaotic amounts of information that were being dropped on me. Vaughn and I were bonded beyond our tattoos. He could heal me, but I could not heal him, and in exchange, I made him feel alive. Whatever that meant. Vaughn and Arkin knew one another, the origins of their acquaintance still a mystery to me, even though it apparently went way back, and Arkin believed me to be his lost lover, which was why he threw me to my death, which made absolutely no sense. Not to mention the traumatic experience of what I just went through inside the endless mist, and now the connection that it was something to do with my lost memory? My head pounded, a drum beating louder and louder. Too much, too much, too much. Arkin said something, but his voice was like a wave, coming and going, ebbing and flowing, the words out of reach. I swayed, or maybe it was the sky. Regardless, something black licked at the edges of my vision. Enough. Vaughn cut Arkin off, his voice full of steel. His grip tightened around my waist, keeping me from falling. She fulfilled her end of the bargain. Now you will tell her where her brother is. There was no asking in his tone. I held on to his words as tightly as I held on to him. Clarity slowly began to seep back in. The world no longer spinning. She needs to hear this, Arkin said, daring a step forward. But he didn't take another. Instead, he sputtered, his eyes going wide as his hands darted to his throat. His tanned face turned an ashen white and he dropped to his knees. He couldn't breathe. On the surface, I felt no remorse. He had done the same to me mere moments ago, whether it was intentional or not. And yet, deeper down in the crevice of some forgotten space, I wanted it to stop. Things are quite simple. I will restore your ability to breathe, and you will and swear, Vaughn stated, his voice surprisingly patient. If you choose not to comply, I will leave you as you are for the ravens to feast on. That was when I noticed them, the sleek black ravens swirling above 10 of them. Whatever Arkin did to signal he would comply, I missed it. My attention stuck on the birds, in particular, their sleek, shining black feathers. They were like the one I had tucked in my bodice, but theirs were much smaller. Slowly, Arkin stood, his hand massaging his neck. Very well, he said as he drew a long, much-needed breath. The men conscripted from Maristone are stationed at the Arundel Training Barracks, a short ride northeast of Clearwell Castle. He handed over the information between heavy breaths. Life had finally handed me a boon. That, or it had a strange sense of humor. Caleb, who I had felt so incredibly far from, was not far at all. Clearwell Castle was just outside of Bellamore. All this time, he had been so close, and I'd had no idea. I gave an odd little laugh, surprising myself. Another one bubbled up, as bad as an unannounced hiccup. Sage, I am sorry for all of this, Arkin said, his expression stating as much. But I did not want to hear anymore. Whether that was for my own sanity or something else, I didn't care. I turned to Vaughn. I want to leave. No, Sage, wait. There is so much you don't know. Please, give me a chance to explain. Do not go with him. You know not what he is, what he did to us, Arkin pleaded. But it was too late. Vaughn pulled me against him, and the glades winked out of existence. A swirl of shadows and twinkling stars exploded around me, and suddenly, we were standing in Vaughn's room back at the mansion in Bellamore.